5-star copies all. Go ahead. Message to observer. Alpha 3 rounds. AT delay in effect. 3 guns. Bravo 2 rounds. 2 guns. Smoke on effect.
Hey y'all, what's happening? Thanks for taking the time to watch another video from the Options Millionaire community. Hope y'all have had a fantastic year, fantastic 2022 as we're coming up on the end of the year. We got about a month and a half left. Still a lot of volatility left in the market, a lot of volatility left in this crazy post-coronavirus market as we continue to adjust to monetary policy, rate hikes, inflation, recessions, potential World War III, so on and so forth. A lot of crazy stuff. And with all that crazy stuff comes a lot of crazy moves. Big green, big red, oscillations, rejections, supports, pivots, all while asking yourself, how do you manage to get on the right side of the trade? How do you manage to hold on to a trade without getting reversed? How do you not get faked out left and right? How do you not get caught up in the traps? It's a trap! So one of the things that large money institutions, market makers love to do is pivot the market against bias, to get the market really steamrolling in one direction and then suddenly pivot against that position. A great way to do this is to do this in pre-market, to start that ball rolling in pre-market. And this is a perfect example. I want to kind of go over this as a live action shot to exactly what happened on this particular day. This was back on November 17th. On this particular day, we had a very, very bearish pre-market. Not something we normally get. Usually we get some sort of bounce, some sort of oscillation, but this one was straight down. You notice that we popped up to 39.90 and then right at European Open, about 0200 Central Time, which by the way, very pivotal time in the market. It's one of the key levels and times that I trade. Be on the lookout for the next video about that exact thing. It's my pre-market level strategy. So right here at 0200, European market opens, and then bam, they dump it from 39.90 all the way down to 39.12. Every little pop is sold down and down and down. And not only do we get the price action, but we get the volume too. Spikes in volume the entire way. So they're building into sell volume as we get lower and lower. They get everybody nice and bearish. Everyone looking, all right, this is it. After 4 or 5 major green days in a row, this is finally the big sell-off. They finally start getting everyone bearish. They start getting everyone to look at shorting the market. Maybe this is the big dip down to 3,700, 3,600 that we've all been looking for. But that is the best way for them to start trapping shorts. So let's look at the other instances in the market and key indications so we can look at how to identify whether or not we do in fact need to short this thing down to 3,800 or if we need to look to see it bouncing this market. All right, so dealing with this very heavy price action all the way into the bell. This is right here, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern Time, right when the market opens. So what I like to do to start figuring out how I'm going to start my day is calculate pivots in the market, the highs and the lows, to let the market tell me where it's going to bounce, where it's going to reject. Now, there's been several times in 2022 we've had this sell-off and then continue to sell off when the market opens. So it's not necessarily a given that we're going to have any kind of green action here. And that's what I'm trying to figure out here at this point in time. So let's go ahead and hit the play button here and just kind of see how this morning shakes out. So there's one rejection. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here is I'm going to hit a level right there. Let's go ahead and continue on. So there's a bounce right there. So right off the bat, this is pre-market, this is trading session. So right here, I'm going to put another little level right there. And I'm just kind of letting the market tell me where it's going to bounce or reject. There's another drop. It almost gets down there again. Right there, boom. So you see right there, I'm looking, all right, well, now we're just in consolidation. We can't take out the highs. We can't take out the prior lows here. And we start coming up here. Now we come right back up to the top, and this is where the market starts to shift. This is where it starts telling me, red flag, red flag. This starts to look like a bear trap. Not because we have green action to the top, because we had a big, strong green move here, which didn't really faze me. But here, you see the volume starts to kick in all green. It's not mixed up with red and green like it is down here. But let's take a look at this. Apple. This is Apple right here. This is what it looked like on that particular trading session. So let's look at Apple and see what they did. So you see right out of the gate, they blasted up and they never stop. And I'm watching them out of the corner of my eye, and they just kept going up and up and up. And then right about here is when they really started to go. And then bam, they absolutely blasted off and they kept on going. In fact, they flipped a red day into a green. So when I'm looking for this market to break down, here, down below, I'm not going to be expecting tech like Apple, that what we just saw, to continue to blast up and turn green. In fact, quite the opposite. And that right there is my first indication that we are going to have a bear trap and flip green and start going much higher. Now, the next thing I was looking for is this, the VIX. Now, the VIX tipped me off the same way in general. I'm also looking at VIX right here. And if we hit play on the VIX, we see exactly what was happening. The green pop in VIX was sold off, and it kept on dropping. No real strength at all with the VIX. They weren't buying up the VIX. They just kept straight going down and down and down. So the fact that they were selling volatility right there told me, and they started selling it off at 10:05 Central Time, 11:05 Eastern Time, which was right before the move started to be made. So that started to come off aggressively, and when I started to monitor that, again, showed me that with this downward action here, with the big buy up in Apple, also XLF was going, and then the stuff I saw on Bookmap that was liquidity to the higher side, everything was telling me, we've got the green action coming in, we've got a little bit of buy volume coming in, we got the VIX coming off, we have Apple going up. I think this is a major, major bull trap. And I started to alert the server, the Discord server, hey, this looks like a massive bear trap. Get out of your puts, start looking to position higher. And then what happened right after this? Boom, we blasted up right here. And then we went up to highs to 39.50, 39.60 area, right up to the top. And then Apple started to scream. We went all the way up to this 39.60. Now, from a macro perspective, I want to show you all this as well. And this is where it helps to have a macro perspective, because where does the market tend to want to go when we are in a consolidation range? And if we zoom out to the 15-minute chart, which is right here, we can really identify exactly where the market wants to go. And just right off the bat, you could set a level right about there. I can kind of see where the market wants to consolidate here, a little right there, bounce, 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 another bounce right here. So right about here, that 39.68 is a key pivot in the market. When the market comes up, we oscillate around, we come down, we go higher. Here, another retest area, another retest area. So I already know right here again, we came up and rejected that this 39.60 is the key pivot level in the market. So if we break down here, I'll be looking for at least a supply retest of 39.68, 39.70. So the market doesn't just go in a straight line. So if we fall through, I'll be looking for a quick retest of supply and then a rejection on down. So all those coupled together with that macro thesis in mind, with what we have here, it looked like a massive, massive bull trap. And the last indication here to me was the big influx of volume, the flip over to green volume right here, Apple, VIX, and Bookmap. Now, to compound on that, I'm sure you say, hey, yeah, you caught that by looking at Apple, by looking at VIX, by looking at the XLF. Well, how do you track all that all at once? That's a great question. So market awareness is a huge, huge part of my system. It's what makes me so successful. It what keeps me apprised of the entire market, what it's doing at any given time. So my top screen looks like this. You can see this is my main market awareness system here. So the top left, I've got Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and here I've got right now the yields, the 2-year yields, the dollar DXY, and the XLF sector. These three pretty much stay the same. I want to keep apprised of the top 3 S&P holdings at all times. The bottom 3 fluctuate based on the volatility in the current market. This week, the past couple of weeks, I've really been tracking the financial sector or the currency sector just because of what's going on in the globe, what's going on with Russia, what's going on with the treasury market. So now monitoring all these three, I can gauge a general sentiment of exactly what's going to happen. Because if I can see a move unfolding on the market on these three, even seconds before it manifests itself in the S&P, I can get in a trade or out of a trade for that matter with a great entry or a great exit moments before the move is made, whether it be to my benefit or against my benefit. So having an intentional charts, I know a lot of people joke about having, 3 screens, 10 screens with charts all over it. There's a certain point where you have too many, but I have these 6 charts and then the one behind it, which is the ES chart. So 7 charts total that I really, really track, and they're intentional. They're very intentional to what I'm looking at. In the bottom 3, like I said, this one, and this one adjusts to stuff that I need to see that particular day that's independent of that system. Whether it be a big market mover, maybe Tesla's moving the market one day, maybe gold is moving, maybe the bonds are moving crazy and I need to flip this over to TLT, whichever it is. The bottom 3 I am adjusting to something that's very specific for that current day that's going to allow me to track the movement of the market. And that is my top left screen, whereas my main screen that I actually trade off of is going to be this screen you see here, which is my ES. And that looks like this. This has my pivot levels. This is actually from the day I'm recording. It's actually got my pivot levels, my dynamic levels, and my specific SR levels you see in the back. That's the red and the green lines. So this is my main charting software. You also notice that the only lines I've got on my chart are the 50 simple moving average and the 200 simple moving average. I don't use any other EMAs on this particular chart. So anyway, that's it. That's how you would learn to identify key traps. You have to look at what the rest of the market is doing. You have to look at the volume. And if volume is supporting of a continued sell-off, like more sell pressure, or if Apple, XLF, the financial sectors, if all those things are continuing to drop, then yes, I will look for continuation down. But you have to be able to look at the market itself to determine if it's just a trap or if you're going to be able to make a move down the way you think. All right, Joe, that's all I got. got for you. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit about how to identify a trap in the market and how to avoid those traps when possible. If you have any questions, please come over and join the Discord, the Options Emulator Discord, a great educational resource where we can get together as a community in a professional manner, yet have a little fun, ask some questions, and learn a little bit about investing. I've also got a podcast on Spotify, Making Millionaires Podcast, a great podcast about how to change your family tree for the better and gain a little bit of financial independence. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Again, I am Andrew with the Options Emulator community. Until next time, I'm out.